Thank you, Bart. I'm just going to kind of wrap things up. I think you've received a lot of very good information. Ed and his family do a great job with their engineering background of doing research and dissecting the parameters and the details that some of us sometimes will skip over. And we're thankful to have them on our team and to do that for us. So I'm just going to wrap up and kind of talk about some past history for us and possible effects and benefits. So I asked myself why. Why would certain companies and certain individuals support this proposed project? And the only answer I could come up with is they all have financial gain tied to this project. It's the only reason they'll support it. And we will we will agree that the first borehole and most likely the second borehole are truly just for testing the feasibility of actually storing nuclear waste in a similar hole. But that is the end objective. The end objective is to discover if it's possible, and if it's possible, the intent will be to store that waste. During war times, we developed nuclear energy, and we all benefited from it. It won a war. It ended a war. But at the time they developed waste, they didn't really think about what would we do with it? How are we going to get rid of it? And there's 60 or 70 sites around our country that literally hold thousands of tons of waste. And the DOE would like us to believe that they're going to come here, they're going to drill these test holes, but they're never going to store anything here. Because it's not safe to transport, they would propose that they would store this waste at the sites where it's located now. That they will go and drill in those locations and store the waste there. You know, I kind of have a simple way of thinking about things. And so I want to ask you, if you were going to start a vineyard here in this area, would you go to Nevada and plant the grapes and see if they would grow? And if they grew and it was successful, you would then come back to Quay County and plant your vineyard. And I believe that's what they want us to believe. I believe they want us to believe that we're not in danger. And I'm sorry that Mark Eccles and Wendy are not here tonight. They had a pretty rough time at Dalhart last night, and they chose not to show up today. So, you know, they could tell their side of the story, and they're going to try to reiterate. And so if you attend other meetings, it's going to be important to attend other meetings. I believe that they've given up on Logan, they've given up on Narragansett, they've seen the opposition, they know it's overwhelming, and I believe they're going to focus their efforts to get support elsewhere. I believe they'll really focus that in Tucumcari. So those of you that are at this meeting tonight, I want to encourage you to attend the meeting in Tucumcari, because I believe there'll be a DOE representative at that meeting, and I believe that Intercon and DOSEC exploration will make a bigger push of the financial gain of this project and what it means. And those folks that maybe get a farther distance from the actual site may be more receptive to those benefits or may not feel the same problems or the same concerns we do. So I want to talk a little bit about history. I'm sure all of you are familiar with the pipeline project from Ute Lake that has been proposed and we've dealt with for years. And as a community early on, we just really didn't believe it would happen. It just didn't seem like something that was realistic. It didn't make sense. There wasn't a lot of support for it. There wasn't any funding. And it just wasn't something we needed to be concerned with. And there were public meetings for that. And we didn't show up. And we didn't voice concern. We didn't voice opposition. We didn't go on the record that this was a problem. And they got a little traction and they gained some funding. And next thing we know, they're proposing to build an intake structure on the south shore of Ute Lake. And now they have our attention. Oh my gosh, this is really happening. And we, as a village, the village of Logan took the lead, committed real money to it, and filed suit in federal court to get an injunction to stop the project. That was in Albuquerque. I attended those court proceedings. Looked like early on we were going to prevail, and we didn't. We did not prevail in that. And one of the reoccurring things that was used against us was our failure to voice opposition from the beginning. In other words, if it really bothered you, why didn't you stand up and voice that opposition from the beginning? Why are you only here now to voice your opposition? And it really put us in a bad situation. The village of Logan then appealed that to the 10th District Court in Denver. We didn't prevail in that case either. And as we all know, they spent $18 million building an intake structure on the other side of the lake. So I want to encourage you. I want to thank you for being here. Obviously, you're concerned, or you wouldn't be here. I think most of you in the crowd are probably like-minded to the speakers and most of us here that we oppose it. But if you have not had an opportunity to sign the letter back there that Sid has that's going to go to the DOD, please stop if you do feel that way and sign that letter. If you haven't signed the petition, please do so there too. And please attend the meeting in Tucumcari. It's going to be very important. I believe that the other side of this project will make their big push at that meeting. And it's going to be important that we show our displeasure or our opposition. So I'm going to kind of here in a minute, I'm going to take questions of any of those that spoke before. If you have questions for Ed or you have questions for Jay, or maybe you don't have any questions, we'll open that up here in a minute. So I just want to remind you that some of the things they're going to try to tempt us with, and these folks came and sat in my office and visited with me for 2 hours. And I believe they'll do that. They have done it. They did it last week in Tucumcari. They try to get a few people in the community. They want to see if they can have influence, if they can garner support, and maybe get a voice that will champion their cause. One of the things I think they'll talk about is the money they'll spend in the community, whether it's on hotel rooms or buying fuel or buying groceries or eating in the restaurants. They'll talk about that they've considered the possibility of building a large transmission line from the Amistad area into the well site in order to be able to power this with electricity, so then they can leave the transmission line that the neighboring landowners could develop solar or wind. I believe they'll try to bait us with that. That was a discussion they had in my office. So they're going to come at us from a lot of ways trying to see the positives of this. And all I ask you is it's a very simple thing. And for those of you that have hunted or trapped, I would just tell you, just don't be tempted by the bait, or you'll find yourself caught in the trap. So be diligent in your opposition. Put your name on the dotted line. Associate your face with this opposition. Don't expect your neighbor to take the lead and be the one that carries the torch. It is important to us as a community. This is probably the most important decisions we will make in our lifetime, because this is not our generation or the next. This is not our grandchildren or their children. These are issues that really, they're going to exceed the limits of what we are as a country for sure. So, I mean, what can go wrong literally can go wrong for thousands of years. I do not think we'll see the negative effects in most of our lifetimes. So we're advocating for others that may not even be born yet.